Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another season of the NFL Contest Show brought to you by Dead Money Media. I'm your host, Jesse Flynn. Well, it's back again. We're going for that Circa Millions $1 million prize. This year, the Circa Millions is up the prize to $6 million. They've also gone from paying out the top 50 positions at the end of the season to paying out the top 100 positions. So there's more opportunities to win. They've also increased the quarterly prizes from the top 3 positions to the top 5 positions, where third or fourth place gets $15,000 and fifth place gets $10,000. Now they've also got up the booby prizes, which is for last place, but I don't ever consider that because I don't expect to find myself in last place. I'm going for the $1 million. This year we've got 2 entries in the contest, so we've got double the opportunities to cash. I'm really excited. Week 1 has already started. We've seen the Buffalo Bills won handily against the LA Rams to start the season. And if you read any of my NFL futures, you know that I was pretty high on the Buffalo Bills going into this season, both for them to win and for their players to win some of the awards at the end of the season. But week 1's here. We've got an interesting bunch of games going on this week. I believe there's 10 underdogs, home underdogs in week 1, which hasn't happened in a very long time. If you include the Thursday night game where the Rams were underdogs at home. Just very strange for that many home teams to be underdogs to start the season, but it also gives us an opportunity to try to take advantage of what the books have put out there and see if maybe we can't get that 5-0 week 1 to really start the season off right and get ourselves in a good position for the first quarter prize and keep moving forward to that ultimate goal of the $1 million first place prize at the end of the season. Well, let's get this started. I know everybody's interested in what games I have picked for this week, so here they are. Here are my top 5 games for week 1 of the NFL season. So the first game that I like is the Green Bay Packers heading to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. I really like the Vikings this season. I think their new head coach, O'Connell, coming over from Los Angeles, bringing his offensive philosophy, is really going to help this Vikings team get over the hurdle that they suffered so badly with last year, losing so many one-score games. I just think his philosophy in the passing game in particular is going to allow players like Jefferson and Thielen and Irv Smith and Dalvin Cook and Madison and all these weapons that Kirk Cousins has available to him will just be much more, productive, and they'll be able to put a lot of points on the board. As for the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, obviously 2-time MVP, but they may have the worst wide receiver group in all of the NFL, and now they're saying that Alan Lazard probably isn't going to play week 1, so you're talking about Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins, and probably Dobbs, their rookie from Nevada. I don't think their other rookie is available yet, so I know they've got a couple of good running backs, but I just don't know where the production's going to come in the passing game. And then as far as the preseason's been, the Green Bay Packers' troubles that they had last season with the special teams kept showing up in the preseason as well, particularly on kickoff and punt returns, where they were just giving up massive chunks of yards to the other teams. And that's just going to become a liability to this team, just like it was last year. It cost them the NFC Championship game, special teams mistake. So I just, I don't see how the Green Bay Packers are going to be able to score enough points to keep up with this Minnesota Vikings offense. I know Green Bay's defense is pretty good, but when you haven't practiced that much, it's only week 1, and you're going up against an offense that is so prolific, has such weapons in every position, and they know where they're going, they know where they want to be, where they want to get the ball. It just sets itself up for the Vikings to take this home win The crowd's going to be ruckus. It's going to be loud inside their stadium. So I just think that all these things stack up against the Green Bay Packers, and they line up well for the Minnesota Vikings. So I really like the Vikings in this underdog situation at home. So for my first game, give me the Minnesota Vikings plus 1.5. So the second game that I like is the Jacksonville Jaguars heading up to Washington, D.C. to take on the Commanders. I really like the Jacksonville Jaguars this season. I think they're going to win the AFC South, even though I only predicted them to win 7 games. I just think the other teams in this division are that bad, and the Colts have a difficult schedule. I just don't see them winning very many games. And as for the Commanders, I just think they're a team that's always in turmoil. Their defense was really bad last season, and they really didn't make that many upgrades to the defense. They added Carson Wentz at quarterback, but I don't trust Carson Wentz. I've seen him make too many bad decisions, trying to force plays when he has to just give up on the play. And, their only real weapon on offense is Terry McLaurin. They drafted Jahi Dotson, and, he may or may not turn out to be a decent player, but that's still to be seen. And I just think that the Jaguars, with their new coaching staff and all the additions that they made on offense and defense, they got offensive linemen, they got wide receivers, they got linebackers on defense, defensive linemen, they drafted defensive linemen. They just made so many upgrades to this team. And then you stack on top of that an actual coaching staff that has won championships in the NFL before, and a coach that is quarterback friendly and runs a quarterback friendly offense. I just think Trevor Lawrence is really setting up to have a great sophomore season, and because of that, the Jacksonville Jaguars will be able to ride that wave to the playoffs. And as for the Washington Commanders, I don't really have much hope for this team this season. I actually predicted that Ron Rivera will be the first coach fired this season, and I'm sticking with that because I don't see them winning very many games this year. And it's going to start with a home loss against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So for my second game, give me the Jacksonville Jaguars plus 2.5. So for the third game, I got the New England Patriots heading down to Miami to take on the Dolphins. The Dolphins are minus 3.5 at home. This is the first time in a while that the Dolphins have actually been a favorite taking on the New England Patriots, and for good reason. They've made quite a few additions this year, particularly on offense, where they added Tyreek Hill. Still don't know if Jalen Waddle's going to play. That could play into whether or not I stick with this game, but if all their offensive players are available in this game, I don't see how the New England Patriots can score enough points to keep up with Miami. I know New England's defense is typically pretty good under Bill Belichick, but they're going up against an offense that has 2 of the fastest players in the NFL on the field at one time, and then they've got several other players that they can throw the ball to or hand the ball to when they spread the defense out. So I just think that the Dolphins are set up for a big win in Week 1. We know that Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots haven't had very much success when they go down to Miami. And going down there Week 1 in September, when the weather's still going to be hot and humid, and the players are still working on their conditioning, building up. Bill Belichick always talks about the first 4 weeks of the season are kind of a building process. I just think that come the third, fourth quarter, that humidity down in Miami is really going to start to play a factor on this New England team, because it'll really sap the energy out of you later on in the game, and I think that could have an effect on the overall outcome of this game. As far as New England's offense, from what we've heard in the preseason and during their practices, Mac Jones really hasn't been picking up the new offense that's been implemented with their new offensive coordinator, Matt Patricia. After losing their offensive coordinator as he took the head coaching job with the Raiders after the season. So now Mac Jones is learning a new offense, and from all the talk about the preseason, he's kind of been struggling, and they don't really have a very deep wide receiver group there. They've got a couple of running backs that will have to prove themselves this season to see if they're actually NFL caliber running backs or if they're just, fill in pieces while New England's in this transition phase. Miami's defense is going to be missing a couple of players. I think one of their cornerbacks is out this week, but I don't think it'll have that much of an effect. They weren't very good against the run, but they did make some additions in the offseason to try to, answer that issue. So we'll have to see what happens. But again, I just think that with New England not being able to score enough points and playing in Miami in this still kind of summerish humidity, I think will have an effect on this team, and it'll be enough for Miami to pull out the victory and cover this spread. So for my third pick, give me the Miami Dolphins minus 3.5. So the fourth game that I like is the Philadelphia Eagles heading over to Detroit to take on the Lions. I like the Philadelphia Eagles minus the 4 points in this one. I just think they're a much better team. I know Detroit, they're getting a lot of love because last year they fought so hard in a lot of their games, and then they were on the Hard Knock series this year, so they're getting a lot of publicity off of that. But I just think the Eagles, they made the playoffs last year and basically Jalen Hurts' first full season, and they've added a lot of upgrades. With A.J. Brown as their number one wide receiver now, that's really going to open up the passing game for Hurts. And their defense was stout last year. They were really good against the run, and they're returning most of the players that they had on that defense. So I think that with Coach Sirianni now actually having an identity for his offense where they're a run-first type of offense, and they're going to work off the play action to get the ball down the field to their wide receivers, I think this Philadelphia team really has a good shot at winning the AFC East. And I just think that even though they're going into Detroit and it's going to be loud inside that stadium, the fans are going to be pumped, it's climate controlled, so eventually the noise isn't really going to be that much of a factor. And what do we know about Jared Goff? If he gets pressured up the middle, if he gets pressure, he starts to look at the rush as opposed to looking down the field at his receivers. And I just think that that's going to end up being the overwhelming factor in this game, is that Philadelphia is going to be able to put pressure on Jared Goff and force him into some mistakes and possibly be able to capitalize on those mistakes. They do have some offensive weapons for Detroit, but they're still building their team, and I don't see where they're going to be able to go blow for blow with this Eagles team. So I just think that -4, that's a pretty even number. I figured they'll probably win by at least 7. So for my fourth pick, give me the Eagles -4. So my fifth and final game is the Baltimore Ravens going up to New Jersey to take on the New York Jets. I just think that this game right here, this is an interesting matchup. You've got the Baltimore Ravens taking on their former quarterback, Joe Flacco, who's 37 years old and starting for the New York Jets because their future quarterback, their Zach Wilson, got hurt in the preseason. And I think that's going to be the reason why the Baltimore Ravens win this game. Joe Flacco at 37 years old is going to be playing behind an offensive line that's already lost 2 potential starters in the preseason. They've got rookies in the backfield. They've got rookies at wide receiver. And I just think there's going to be so much emotion wrapped up in all these young players playing. And then you've got old man Flacco behind this makeshift offensive line. I don't know where the points are going to come from to be able to match with the Baltimore Ravens. Led by Lamar Jackson, a healthy Lamar Jackson, and a healthy running game. They're kind of iffy in the wide receiver position, but we'll find out. Mark Andrews is still there, who's been Lamar Jackson's number 1 passing option. So I think that by the fourth quarter, if you force Joe Flacco into a passing-only game, you're just playing right into the teeth of this Baltimore defense, particularly with that beat-up offensive line for the Jets. And it could just lead to an avalanche of points for the Baltimore Ravens and end this game in a blowout. The Jets, they did add some pieces on defense through the draft and through free agency, but again, when you're starting these young rookie players, it's week 1 of the NFL season. There's a lot of emotions going on, and you've got arguably the most dynamic quarterback in the NFL on the other side of the field. It just doesn't look good for the Jets. I know 7 points is a lot to lay, particularly on the road, but again, if I think Baltimore's going to win this game, then I have to believe they're going to cover the spread. So for my 5th and final pick, give me the Baltimore Ravens -7. So those are my 5 picks for week 1 of the NFL season for the Circa Millions contest. Now this year I'm also going to give out the 5-team parlay that these 5 picks would be. Now in the Circa, you have to choose the point spread, but for the parlay, if I believe an underdog is going to win the game straight up, then I'm going to use the money line. So in this particular week 1 lineup, I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings money line, the Miami Dolphins -3.5, the Jacksonville Jaguars money line, the Philadelphia Eagles -4, and the Baltimore Ravens -7. If you add all 5 of those into one parlay, it comes out to just under 30-1. So last season I had 4 5-0 weeks. So 1 or 2 of these throughout the season will certainly pay for themselves for the whole year. So hopefully we can start week 1 off with a 5-0. Win all 5 again, put ourselves in that position for the first quarter, the overall prize, and potentially win this 5-team parlay. Well, to everybody out there, thanks for watching. I hope you'll stay with me all season. Hit that like and subscribe button. You can hit the notification bell so you get notified as soon as the video is released. And, good luck to everybody. If you're in the Circa contest, be sure to let me know what your team name is, and we'll keep track of how you're doing throughout the season. If you like the content, go on over to deadmoneymedia.com and you can subscribe to the email, and you can get all the other content that we put out, as well as the other bets for golf and college football parlays and any other things that we might do throughout the year. Thanks for joining me again, and good luck with your week 1 bets.